All right, let's take a look ahead to the upcoming season for SMU. Kind of a change this year, heading to the ACC from the American Conference. Basically, what we're going to do here, we'll look at their schedule from last year, kind of talk about them. We'll look at the recruiting rankings, how they did in the transfer portal, and then ultimately look at their schedule this season and predict their record. As far as SMU is concerned last year, a few things off the top. All right, pretty solid year here. They've got a lot of guys, first off, coming back this year that were really key impact guys on this team, so that really should help them this year. Also loaded up in the transfer portal. We'll get to that later. But I think they can definitely compete in the ACC. But looking at last season, all right, not a bad year at all. 3 losses total. Those 2 losses during the regular season coming in against Oklahoma and TCU. Not just blowouts either. Oklahoma beat them 28-11. TCU beat them 34-17. Then down the stretch there in their bowl game, in their championship game, they were without their starting quarterback, Preston Stone, which is going to be back this year. Should be an all-ACC candidate probably. Really important to get him back for sure. I think he's going to be pretty good in the ACC for SMU. But looking at this, though, like I said, really good year. And look at that Oklahoma and TCU in particular. That shows I think they can compete in this league for sure. I know they lost to Boston College in the bowl game. But like I said, they were kind of depleted with injuries in that game and opt-outs, but as is everybody. But I think they can definitely compete in this league. But looking at their rankings, all right, so recruiting-wise, all right, not the best class. Let's see here. All right, 56th ranked class. Recruiting-wise, 31st ranked class. Transfer portal-wise. And recruiting-wise, not the greatest, but pretty solid for them. All right, bringing in 4-star running back from Tyler High in Tyler, Derek McFall. Bringing in a couple 3-stars as well, linebackers from DeSoto, Red Oak, and then a quarterback to maybe take the reins eventually one day. You've also got some guys sign their letter of intent that haven't quite enrolled yet. But looking at the transfer portal, this is kind of really what I want to focus on. They've absolutely tore it up in the transfer portal, and there's a reason that they are ranked so high, having the 31st ranked transfer portal class. They brought in guys that can help on the outside, give Preston Stone some options, weapons, but also they've kind of shored up that line, all right? Offensive and defensive line, brought in Power 5 guys that can definitely take the beef that's going to be in the ACC conference. Before I forget also, Preston Stone also returns as tight end. RJ Maryland, probably an All-American candidate, put up some really good numbers last year at tight end. But looking at this transfer portal class they've got coming in, like I said, really good guys. D lineman from Miami, offensive lineman, a guard from Arkansas, guard from East Carolina, offensive tackle from Arkansas, edge rusher from Texas. So you can see they've definitely brought in Power 5 guys here, not East Carolina, obviously, but the other ones. Power 5 guys are going to be able to compete in the ACC instantly. Brought in a tight end from Michigan, safety from Colorado, D lineman from Texas Tech. They brought in an offensive tackle. This one I want to talk about right here. Offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Savion Byrd. That one's definitely going to help out because whenever you can have a tackle that was good enough to play at Oklahoma, he's definitely going to be good enough to play at SMU, at least for now, because they haven't quite hit that ceiling as far as been in the ACC for multiple years. They've loaded up in the portal and recruiting. But bringing in a receiver from Oregon as well. So I think Preston Stone's definitely going to have plenty of options out wide and going to be well protected on the offensive line. I think their D-line is going to be able to get after it against opposing offenses. I think they're going to be okay in the ACC. But here's their schedule this year. Not the toughest schedule. Looking at it, we'll break it down. We'll kind of add it up, discuss it. ACC, I think, is anybody's for the taking this year. I'd say the favorite to me right now is probably NC State. But you've got, Florida State. You've got, who else am I missing? Louisville, Clemson. Ton of teams that can play. But SMU's in the thick of things. Right now I have them, I think, at number 25 in my preseason rankings, talking about SMU. So they definitely got a shot here. All right, so looking at it, we'll start in the non-con. First off, at Nevada, that should be an easy win for SMU. They've loaded up this year. They're not quite the same roster they were when they were a G5 school. Like I said, they're not quite complete Power 5 just yet, but they're definitely getting there. Transfer portal kind of makes that transition a lot easier for teams. So they're definitely going to be closer than they are not to being a complete Power 5 roster, I think. But they get that one against Nevada. That puts you at 1-0. Next up, you got Houston Christian. That'll put you at 2-0. Easy win there. Now you got a pair of Big 12 teams. I think BYU should be down this year. I think SMU has a better roster. Give me SMU there, 3-0. You've got an off week, then you've got TCU. Yes, they lost to TCU last year, but TCU's roster got worse, and SMU's roster got better, I think. I think that combined with coming off a bye week as well as sort of a home game. Definitely a home game here. I'm going to go 4-0. All right, now you get into the thick of things. These are your two toughest tests right here of the year. Florida State and Louisville. Definitely the toughest teams they're going to play this season. And unfortunately for them, I don't think they're quite there just yet to be able to compete with these teams. I think they'll be able to play with them. But as far as winning this game, I don't think it's possible for either one of these games. So I think they're going to drop both of these to Florida State and Louisville. That'll put you at 4-2. Then you've got an off week. Then you get kind of more into the thick of it. Stanford, that should be an easy win. Stanford's pretty down. That'll put you at 5-2. At Duke, that should be another win. Duke's head coach, Mike Oko, went to A&M. You should be able to beat them. Put you at 6-2. Pitt was pretty bad last year. That'll put you at 7-2. You got a bye week, and then this is probably the toughest game, I think, besides those other two, Florida State and Louisville. Boston College, I think, is kind of slept on this year. This is almost 50-50 game for me. I think this is going to be a really competitive game, but SMU is hosting. So give me SMU here. That'll put you at, 8-2? And then you've got Virginia and Cal. I think they won both of those. And I've got them going right now 10-2, and that would not put them in the ACC championship. But if Florida State and Louisville are really good, if they only have one or no losses, if they're both in the college football playoff race, depending on how you do in the other games, with the playoff expanding to 12 teams, it's going to be tough. But with expanding to 12 teams, a team with 2 losses could theoretically make the playoff. Now, it's going to be tough being in the ACC. You'd be better off, being in the SEC, Big Ten, whatever, having 2 or 3 losses. But realistically, like I said, if both those teams are really good, you could somehow have a chance to make the playoff. I don't think SMU will make the playoff this year. That's not what I'm getting at. But theoretically speaking, if Florida State and Louisville go undefeated and only beat each other, you could see yourself sneaking in that last spot in the playoff. But 10-2, though, is what I've got them at right now. Not a bad year at all for your first year in the ACC. Again, I don't see them as a playoff caliber team, but top 25 team, definitely. But 10-2, not a bad season in my opinion. I think they're going to be pretty good. But what do you think of SMU going into next season? What do you think their record is going to be? What do you think of them? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. And most importantly, subscribe.